Motion to reconvene.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have the motion by Ms. Childers, second by Ms. Smalley. All in favor of reconvening the meeting, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Did we have any delegations signed for this particular meeting? None, I didn't figure so. So I'll take us over to 5.01, approval of the levy rates as listed there. We've gone through all the proper steps to get that taken care of. We have a letter of approval from the State Auditor's Office. And so we just need a motion to approve the levy rates as presented.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have the motion from Mr. Best, second from Ms. Neely. All in favor of approval, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll move along. I don't think we have any other financial items there. Any board member comments concerning this levy rates? If not, we will just adjourn that meeting if I have a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we have the motion by Mr. Best, second by Ms. Smalley. All in favor of adjournment of the levy rate meeting, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. That one is adjourned, and we will now begin our regular meeting for Tuesday, April 15th, 2025, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We'll go ahead and get started with our special celebrations. Ashley Stevens, Dr. Ashley Stevens.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, President Polly, board members, Superintendent Hardesty, Counselor Hornbuckle-Myers. It's great to be with you. We will start our celebration with the Huntington High FBLA. It's our Future Business Leaders of America, and we're going to talk a little bit about their experience at the state competition. They were able to attend the State Leadership Conference in March, and FBLA member Jenna Lindsay was elected to the elected as the West Virginia FBLA state president from right here. During the conference, students competed in various events that showcased their career competencies, business knowledge, and job skills. They also had the opportunity to participate in a range of workshops throughout the two-day event to enhance their leadership skills and prepare for career or post-secondary options. More than 20 students have qualified to attend the 2025 National FBLA Conference, which we're very excited about. I am going to invite, hang on. I'm going to invite their teacher up to tell you a little bit about it, and I think she will be inviting Jenna as well. So if you guys can come up.
I have to move this way down. I'm a short person. Good evening, board members, superintendent. We are very grateful for you all inviting us here. I would just like to recognize all of my students that went to the State Leadership Conference. I think we had about 40 attend this year, 25 or 26 of those placed in one way or another. If I could just recognize the ones who are here, I would like to do that. And also, I would like to recognize Jenna. She has become the state president of FBLA, which is a very big deal. We've never had a state president from Huntington High before. So we are super excited for the next year to come because she'll have the opportunity to attend some different events and trainings and conferences. And so we're anxious to see how that goes. And she is a great leader, so I know she's going to serve us very proudly and make Huntington High and Cabell County Schools look great. So we are very thankful that Jenna was elected, and we're very proud of her. So give her a round of applause. Okay, now I'm going to introduce the other students who are here, and I have one more who's on the way. He had to go home and change, and he was headed here, so hopefully he'll make it before I get finished. But I have Ivy Drummond. Do you guys want to stand up when I call your name? Ivy Drummond, Lila Webb, Aubrey McClellan, Sierra King, Ella Austin, McKaylee Chris, London Donahoe, Kian McClure, Fletcher Miller, Hawk Maynard, and Josiah Fleeman is coming in just a few minutes, so he'll be here. And I also want to just recognize, we ended up with some first place winners, so I'm going to recognize those. I'm not going to go through all the placements, that's a lot. But for our first place winners, we have Jenna Lindsay with her electronic career portfolio. We have Hawk Maynard, Sam Lefevre, and Sean Horgan in hospitality and event management. We have McKaylee Chris, who's here in Intro to Social Media Strategies, and Miss Ella Austin placed first in Social Media Strategies with a perfect score. So we congratulate all of them on their first place wins. I would now like to, Jenna would like to say a few things about FBLA and the business program and what it means to her and maybe some of the other students. So I'm going to let her have the floor. I surprised her with this, so sorry.
Hello. Yeah, so I know you guys I'm sure you're familiar with a few things we've done in the past year or so, and it has just been so incredibly great to just be a part of the business program and its growth. I've learned so much, as well as my peers, and just FBLA has really helped me find what I want to do with my life, and I've learned so many things with FBLA beyond the classroom or beyond all the business classes I've taken. So I'm just really grateful to take my leadership skills that I've learned with Miss Lewis and the business program and just throughout high school to the state level. And yeah, I have just been so grateful to be a part of this program, and I'm sure they are too. Can speak for them. So.
I want to add one more thing. Tomorrow we have approximately 22 students, I believe, taking the NOCTI exam. So we will have somewhere between 22, 25 completers this year in the business pathway. So we're very excited about that. Those numbers have grown exponentially since last year, and we hope that they will continue to grow. I think when we started just FBLA, when we started it, I know we talked about this a little bit last year when we came, but we started with 12 members. This year our roster holds 65 members. So in 3 years' time, we've gone from 12 to 65. So we're very proud of those accomplishments. And I'm mostly proud of these students who work so hard and put everything into what they do and all the competitions they go to. So thank you very much.
Before you get away, I'd like for you to tell about the marketplace that you organized in your first marketplace.
Okay. So around the holidays, we had a Highlander holiday market is what we called it. And it was a big undertaking, but all of my students in every class developed a business with a group. It was anything from clothing making to crafts to candles to just about everything imaginable. Some even did car washes. They signed people up to do car washes later. But we had the whole gym full of booths and like a vendor show, basically, and the students did it all. So they were all set up. We had the gym going for 2 days, and the students and staff were allowed to come down in certain class periods to shop and purchase, like similar to what you would do in an elementary school Santa's workshop. But these were all goods that were made or secured by our students, and they created something to put out for sale. So we hope to continue that. It was a big success last year. It was a crazy time, but we made it through. It took really about a month of planning and prep and getting everything ready, but the overall result was great. So we hope to do it again next year, and we would love to have all of you there if you are able to come. We'll make sure to send an invite to the board office. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Is that your other student? Go ahead.
I really didn't plan to be up here for so long, but Josiah just got here. Sorry for the stragglers, but we don't get out until 3:15, and sometimes they have to go home and do some things. But we're super excited to have him here. He is a new member of FBLA this year, and he's a senior, but he's also completing the business pathway this year. So we're very excited that he's with us now, and he's going to travel to nationals with us as well. So.
Okay, stay up. I had a couple more questions.
Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry.
So you said 20 qualified for the national,
I was like 20. I think 24.
and one, where is it, and how did children qualify for that?
Okay. So nationals this year is in Anaheim, California.
Wow.
Last year it was Orlando, so each year it moves somewhere else. They have to compete at states, and they have to place first through fourth in their respective categories. I think all of the ones that we have going, I'm pretty sure have placed first through third. We are at about 10 students who say that they'll be able to go. It is very cost prohibitive for them, so we will be doing a lot of fundraising. But they are very excited, and the things that they can learn at the conferences are, I mean, it's just invaluable, so much more than what I can teach them in the classroom. So they're giving up a week of their summer to go. It'll be June 30th, I think, or June 28th through July 3rd, I believe. And so we'll fly out there, and we're going to live it up in LA and go to Hollywood and everything. So we're excited about that.
Well, let us know about the
And
fundraisers.
we're going to win, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Let us know about the fundraisers.
Okay, we will. Yes, thank you so much.
All right, next up, we have Huntington High English teacher Marissa Dillon. She was honored with the Appalachian Study Association Stephen L. Fisher Award for Excellence in Teaching for K-12 Educators. They describe this award as a way to honor individuals dedicated to intellectual rigor and pedagogical integrity in constructing and delivering inclusive knowledge about Appalachia and its people. Ms. Dillon was nominated by Dr. Allison Carey, the English Department Chair at Marshall University. She received the award at the annual Appalachian Studies Association conference. She shares that she loves to teach the unit on Appalachia each year to her AP students and enjoys the writing her students create as they study this important part of our culture and history. I'm going to invite Ms. Dillon up to tell you a little bit about her work.
Also need to bring this a little bit down, but thank you, board members, and thank you, Superintendent Hardesty. And I want to say this is a full circle moment because Miss Molly was my band director. Yes, and then my mom and stepdad are here, and I have current students here. So this is really a cool full circle moment. So yes, the past 2 years, I've done an Appalachian Studies unit, and last year I had a book club where I invited Cicero Fain and Kat Pleska to come up to Huntington High and talk to students and parents that were invited to read their books. It was a great event. Unfortunately, didn't make time enough this year to do it, but I hope to do it in the future. But I start out the year with Appalachian texts that are nonfiction, as AP Lang is all nonfiction, and memoir. And I always ask students the same thing. What happens when you tell people outside of West Virginia that you are from West Virginia or Appalachia? And the answers are very similar. They feel very defeated because people see them as unintelligent, lower than, oh, you wear shoes. People start singing country roads. We all know the stereotypes. And by the end of that unit, I share with them texts that hopefully bring back pride in being West Virginian and Appalachian. And they all have to do a research project where they research something connected to their nonfiction text, and they write a research project from that. So yes, that's the project.
That's awesome. Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
You all are ready? We'll do some photos.
Somebody gonna hold the phone up there? Somebody gonna hold the phone up there? For Mary's picture? Join the party.
Okay. Okay, tell me what it is.
304
Uh-huh.
521 5676.
I'm gonna call you and tell you about it.
All right. That
And
sounds
I have
awesome.
something
Thank
to
you so
offer
much.
you.
Oh, great.
What's her name? Let's see. Oh, I know what I wanted to ask. I did not. Daggone it. Oh. Yes, Marissa Dillon.
All right, we'll go ahead and move along to our update in Instruction and Leadership Services, Ms. Kelly Watts.
Good evening, Board President Mr. Pauley, Superintendent Hardesty, Ms. Hornbuckle-Myers, and board members. I have a couple things. One of the things we are in
Hello?
Can you hear
Hello?
me, Miss Neely?
Hello, I was cut off.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Okay,
I can hear you.
Okay, great. So we're in assessment season. We've entered what we call assessment season. Last week we had our SAT for our 11th graders, and we are approaching 95% completion. So we're very excited about that, as we're in makeup season right now for the SAT and the PSAT. But all testing for the high school group went very well last week. Next week, we go into our general summative assessment, which is grades 3 through 8. And that window goes through May 6th, May 10th, actually, because that will go through, we'll do makeups. So just to be aware that if you go to a school to visit, if they're in testing, you won't see much because you're not allowed to go into the classrooms. But it's a time, and then AP will happen typically the second and third week of May, so our AP testing. So we are in test season, but it is all going very well. Another thing that I wanted to bring to your attention, because as we know, time is flying by very quickly. Special Olympics will be May 2nd at Huntington High. And feel free to come. Feel free to volunteer if you so choose. Our rain date is May 5th, that Monday. And we do take in account that that is during the testing window, but typically Fridays and Mondays are not good testing days. And then I wanted to bring your attention to a couple contracts that I have on the board agenda, just in case you may have some questions. So in 4.07, you have a contract to Curriculum Associates, and that's actually for our EL students. It's a data management system that we use to help monitor and track the success, because those students we have to, for their ELPA 21, we have to make sure that they're on grade level and that they're moving along, because we are actually, that's one of our balanced scorecard indicators. So our EL teachers like to use that to make sure that their EL teachers are on track. So that's that contract, and it will be for next school year.
So that's just an evaluation program to see.
It's a data management system. Yes, so they upload the data from the EL students so we can monitor and track to make sure they're on course.
Okay.
And the second thing is you'll see several contracts to the Knoll company, which is known as Building Thinking Classrooms. Now, I think I told you all about, we just were awarded a $25,000 Department of Ed grant for mathematics and science. And so the grant that we wrote involves building a cohort of 36 teachers, 18 from elementary, 18 from secondary, of math and science teachers that will be cohort leaders at their school. And so they're going through a train the trainers all-day training, and then they will take that back to their school at the beginning of the school year, and then they will work with those their groups throughout the next school year. And that's part of the grant that we were awarded from the Department of Ed. Now, you'll have Huntington High and Huntington Middle that have their own contracts with that training. Huntington Middle, a couple years ago, has started building that whole process of building thinking classrooms. If you were part of the Summer Institute last year and the year before, we've done pretty much intensive training in that. It's just an instructional strategy, but it's a strategy that our teachers has built upon themselves. They found this. We did book studies from the State Department a couple years ago. We started having teachers implement the strategy, and they started seeing the success for their students. So it's actually what I call very organically grown through our teachers. So it's something that my division always looks at, how do we support teachers? So that's something they always come back and ask for. So we have looked at how do we build a structure that supports all teachers through this process. And so the math grant allows us to do that, but we do have some Title I schools that have taken their funds to take it even further to make sure that they continue the work that they've started. Huntington Middle has been a school that actually has done some extensive work with building thinking classrooms, and we use them a lot of time for when people want to see it in action. And then Huntington High started this process this year in building their leadership team with building thinking classrooms. So I just wanted to kind of bring that to your all's attention in case you had any questions.
Well, I did have questions, so I reached out to Courtney Cook, and then she got with Lisa Burris. And the three of us talked, and because I was very concerned that we were spending $33,300 on 4 days of in-service for that. And I did go to the summit, last summer, and I did go to 2 sessions of the lady that building thinking classrooms. I went to 2 sessions of that, and it's the same woman who's coming to do this training. And I was impressed with her, but I thought, we have so much talent here. Why aren't we?
And that's the plan with the math grant.
That's what they told me. They told me that
we're building our
be
leaders.
Trained, and it is a grant. It's not money coming directly out of Cabell County Schools.
Yes, we have to blend some funds. That was a requirement of the grant. I will tell you that that was what the teachers have wanted to build that leadership, and it's something that I strongly support. If teachers build it, they will come. Mm-hmm. It's one thing if I try to build it, but my job is to support it. And building thinking classrooms, I can't say his last name, but the author and Miss Rigby that is doing our training, they actually are working specifically. They don't offer a train the trainers, but because of all the work that they've done in Cabell County, they have agreed to design a program for us for a train the trainers model so we can continue their work.
That's very good.
Yeah.
That's very good. Yeah, and in a nutshell, what it is, what I experienced, and I'm sure it's a whole lot more than this because here's the whole book, and I just was, at a 45-minute session twice, or however long they were. But you have 3 people in a group, and they're standing at a big Post-it on the wall. You know how those big ones stick on the wall? And you have this team of 3 people, and you give them a challenge. And together, they work out this challenge. And I did it in math, one segment, and the other one was in social studies, I think it was. And it's very powerful and very interesting.
And we've seen great success. Central City has been an elementary that has done it very well, and we know the growth that Central City has been seen in their classrooms. And so I'm excited because this is something that teachers have asked for, and we can continue to help support it at the countywide, just not for our title schools. Mm-hmm. So that's all that I have, unless you have any other questions for me.
All right, thank you. Move on to 2.03, an update in operations and support. Mr. Boggs.
Good evening, Board President Pauly, board members, superintendent, general counsel. So in front of you, you've got a brief update today regarding operations and support. So the first item that I want to speak about is policy updates, and that is 4.02, and those first reading. I believe on the version that you have, it says first reading and approval, but however, this is just a first reading today, and this is policy, Cabell County Schools Policy 9160, public attendance at school events. This is just one minor change, and that will allow bingo to be used as a fundraiser and use the schools for that.
So, board members, we received an email a week and a half or so ago about they wanted to try some bingo for, I think, the show choir and a fundraiser. And Mr. Rockett and I had a conversation. It's actually in policy. It says bingo is prohibited. So, we really didn't know why that was like that. But if you look, I think it was from 2012 or 13. It's been there for a while. So I reached out to Superintendent Bill Smith. We had a conversation. He told me that it was just something that they wanted to add back in the day, not particularly him. He said, he was joking. He said, yeah, I guess you could play roulette, just not bingo. But he was just joking. But when we talked about it, we really don't have a concern with it. We just wanted to bring it to you all to see if you did, because it's not against state policy or state code. It's just something that our board added, 12 or 13 years ago to our policy. So other counties, I checked those that have Neola as their, that helps with their policy manual. It's not there on theirs. The rest of it's worded the same except that one sentence. So the only change, like Mr. Block said, would be to remove bingo as prohibited.
Okay. Moving forward to various different agenda items that you're going to see located in the consent agenda. And the first one is 4.03 outdoor storage building with Keaton Construction for Milton Elementary. And I know I had spoken to you at a prior special board meeting regarding the first time that we put these out for bid for Meadows Elementary and Milton Elementary. The bids came back, so we had to scale them back. They came back too high, so we had to scale them back. A little bit smaller building, different materials, and this was fit within the budget that was allocated for those funds for this year. And that is this is a pole barn. It's not. Sometimes in our buildings, we have just storage buildings that you would buy from Home Depot or Lowe's or Menards or something like that. This is an actual pole building that has a garage door. It's got a ramp that would go up in it, would allow mowers to be properly stored in there. It's got electric for lights and the custodians that are coming in, when they're doing salt in the mornings, different things like, has a concrete floor as well. So this will really stand the test of time, and it's not something that it's going to have metal siding on it as well, metal roof. And it's going to be done right. It's going to have gutters, downspouts, and everything along with that. So any questions about this?
Well, it did concern me that there was just one bid, and I reached out to Greg Webb, and he told me the procedure is to put it in the paper, in the Herald Dispatch, and in the Charleston Gazette, what the need is, and then just the Keaton Company responded as the only bidder.
They did, and sometimes that happens. Sometimes we get multiple people. Sometimes we only get one company that bids on that. It happens sometimes with roofing projects, various different things. Sometimes we get multiple, but for this one, we only did receive one. They have done work for us. They have received bids in the past. They've done good work on all of those. But we did follow all purchasing procedures with that.
So, did you start to say something?
I was about to go ahead.
So Mr. Webb told me about the outdoor classrooms, and so I went and visited the Central City outdoor classroom today, and it looked really good.
They look
I mean, it
very
wasn't
nice.
a building, but what it was.
Sure. They do a lot. They do a lot of concrete work, but they also do construction, and they may subcontract out some of their work as a general contractor. So, any other questions about that?
Were there multiple bids the first time when it was too high?
I believe we did receive, because we were bidding out two. I believe there were two, but I will follow up on that and make sure for you. So, but it did come in over the budget for those two the last time, so we wanted to put that back out to bid. Any other questions? Okay. I'm going to actually, on 4.13 through 4.16, Mr. Tackett is here, and he really took the charge on the uniforms, the vouchers and stipends for that. And this is in regards to transportation, department custodians, maintenance workers, and cooks. So if you have any questions about that, Mr. Tackett is here. He is available to speak to you if you have any questions. So I will defer to him. So I'll let you look through that and see if you have any questions. And
I'd also like to thank Brandy Edwards from the Working Men's Store for joining us this evening along with Mr. Tackett. Thank you very much.
I think this is a similar situation where there was only one bid for this as well.
Well, since she's here, and we're talking about this, the person who took me out to the outdoor classroom today, is a custodian down there. I can't remember his name now. James, maybe. I don't know, David. I don't know who it was. But anyway, he was very helpful. And we were talking about the uniform situation. And he asked me if it was on the agenda. And he said it's much better to have uniforms. Because in the past, before uniforms were mandated, people would come in wearing all kinds of things. But so it is a good thing to have uniforms.
Yeah, I agree. It's good to have a more consistent look for our employees and the safety too. You know, it's easily identifiable by the uniforms they have, so I think it's a good idea.
And it's important to note that there is a little difference between, we are going to kind of pilot something slightly different between transportation custodians and maintenance are doing vouchers for that, but we are doing stipends for the cooks. We did receive, and just so you know this, we receive, Mr. Tackett has worked with each of those groups of service personnel, determined what they needed, and the cooks, many of the cooks really believed, and the food service director, Mr. Austin, that a stipend would be appropriate for them, because that way they could order the scrubs that they've got offline, and then they can take them somewhere to get monogrammed with the Cabell County logo on them and everything. But they still have those same requirements as far as what they what they wear to work that is approved. So the last item on here, which I'm sure there'll probably be some discussion a little bit later on, so I'm just going to briefly mention that as a special board item, and that is 7.01, and that is disposition of real property of the former Highland Elementary School to Lily's Place. But I'm sure we'll kind of talk more a bit about that, and I think we've got some speakers during delegations to be heard that are going to speak about that later on today. So one change to the personnel changes, and this is just a strike through. This is 6.03 administrative leave professional personnel. So what I'm going to ask you to do is just strike through 6.03. This has been resolved, and that is 6.03 administrative leave professional personnel. We are going to remove that item from the board agenda today. Any questions or points of clarification? Thank you, board members.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Boggs. That does take us to 2.04, communications from the superintendent, Mr. Hardesty.
Thank you, President Pauly. Well, as you saw this evening, excuse me, from FBLA, we have entered competition season for many of our students in various activities. Winners are working their way through our local and regional competitions and competing at state level. And some, as we see, are going on to national level. So we are not only encouraging them, we're proud of them. And for all of those, we wish you the best of luck. And we look forward to celebrating with even more winners very soon. Recently, Cabell Midland and last night, Huntington High School celebrated military signings for students who will continue their studies and service at the next level through enlistment. We're excited for what the future holds for our students. And I want to personally thank them in advance for their service. Last night was a very special evening. The Huntington High School program was very well done. And something to note, at Cabell Midland, the gentleman who was the guest speaker there was 102. And just a really treasure for a man to sit and talk to. Recently, several of our schools have participated in child abuse awareness activities, including creating displays of blue pinwheels outside the schools. We're honored to stand with all those who work to protect children from violence, and we're grateful to our students for helping raise awareness of the important issue. Ms. Molly, congratulations goes to you. Huntington High Band Director Brian Dunphy recently hosted the Region 3, I think it was last Friday, all-area band concert. The best and brightest from local middle and high school bands in Cabell, Wayne, and Putnam counties came together for an amazing concert. During the concert, our own Mrs. Smalley was recognized for her dedication and advocacy for music in our schools. Congratulations to Ms. Smalley and all the featured musicians. Huntington High School Chamber Choir had a phenomenal weekend this past weekend. They have just returned from a visit, which they were able to perform at Carnegie Hall, which is the same venue that has hosted everyone from Tchaikovsky to the Beatles. It was an incredible honor for the choir to be invited to perform, and I'm sure they made memories that will last them a lifetime. Tomorrow is the unveiling of a new mural honoring Woody Williams at the Huntington Mall. He left a legacy of service that truly inspires all of us. I'm excited to be part of the events tomorrow, and even more so for the anticipated opening of the Woody Williams Center for Advanced Learning and Careers next school year. It'll probably be, we'll start moving some things in there the second semester. The following year after that, we'll be completely there. So it's coming along nicely. This Thursday is our Teacher and Service Personnel of the Year Awards. That will be at Cabell Midland High School. And I want to thank the Cabell County Schools Foundation and their sponsors for hosting that event for us. As Ms. Watts told us, we have state testing going on. We have completed high school testing, and the 3rd through 8th graders begins on April 21st. This Friday is Faculty Senate, so it's a 2-hour early release for students. Next Friday, the 25th, midterm grades will be released. And as she also said, Friday, May 2nd, will be Special Olympics at Huntington High School. Mr. Bogg did point out to pull 6.03 from the agenda. I would also like to draw your attention to 4.01 on page 4. And we need to remove one of the minutes from there, the April 9th. If you just remove that one. Ms. Raines got a little ambitious. We didn't get that one completed in time for the meeting. There are a couple of items I want to draw your attention to on the agenda. 4.12, there is a contract for HMH for Mingo County Schools. And I didn't know if anyone would have a question as to why we would need to approve Mingo County Schools. But I thought I would bring that to everyone's attention. So Title II funds are part of the federal money that we receive, but Title II comes to us, and it's not a large amount. And because Title III, what did I say, Title II? Title III, I apologize. So there's not a large amount. So there's a consortium of funds, and because we're the larger county of the ones that receive it here locally, within our small radius, it comes to us, so it flows through us. So those dollars are earmarked for Mingo County. They just flow through us because of just the sheer size of them. And on 7.02, there is a potential start time survey, and I'm sure we'll discuss that later as well. I just wanted to draw your attention to it. And lastly, I wanted to share this because an email will be going out in about 40 minutes, or not an email, but a posting. As we've discussed previously, we have applied for a waiver for some of the makeup days through all of the ones that we had this winter for either flooding or snow, and the ones that were related to state of emergency. I'm pleased to share that we were granted a waiver for 4 days for students. This will make students' last day this year, May 28th. Teachers and staff will be required to fulfill their contract days, so the last day for staff, 200-day employees, will be Wednesday, June the 4th. And we will need to bring that to the board's approval. I didn't get it till this weekend, so we didn't have it in time for this agenda. So those changes will be requested to be approved by the board at the May 6th meeting. And that concludes my update.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hardesty.
Thank you.
Move on to 2.05, delegations to be heard. I believe we have some people who have signed up.
We do have some. The first up is Jody Mayola.
Hi, I'm Jody Mayola with Lily's Place, and I know that we have given you as much information as we probably have right now, and we've talked to as many of you as we can. We're still open to answering any questions anybody has. I just want to remind everybody why we're asking for the High Lawn property. This was not on our bingo card for 2025. This was not something that we even knew was a possibility. We'd never really seen the process for what it looks like when the school board gets rid of schools. And what I have seen in the last 6-ish weeks from the community that we've been talking to since this was presented was that some of the best possibilities that people can hope for with these properties is that it doesn't make their neighborhood worse. And what we really want to do is make their neighborhood better. We want to make Huntington better. We want to make Cabell County better. All of the things that we want to do are really not about us. It is very much about the vision that we have for the people that we want to serve, for infants, small children, adults, families. And I can't promise you that everybody will be happy with everything that we do, but I promise you that we will make sure that everything that we're doing is because we care about other people, and that all of the things we do will be with the community in mind. And we're really excited for High Lawn to be kind of hosting our vision. That was not the original place for these services that we were supposed to be providing. It was not, again, even remotely a consideration for us until recently. But High Lawn has a heart for revitalizing their own community and their own neighborhood and taking ownership of that, and we want to work with them to do that. So if you all are willing to entrust us with that building, we promise that we'll put all of the resources, all of the hard workers that we have at Lily's Place behind it, and try to make it so much better for that community than they could have hoped. So that's our ask, and we appreciate all of your time and your consideration in that process. Thank you.
Rhonda Edmond.
Hello. I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to follow that. She spoke. See, my time's up. She spoke for us very well, our heart, and I think if anyone knows anything about Lily's Place, you know that our hearts are to help people, and that's exactly what we intend to do with the High Lawn building if we have the opportunity to use that building. So we thank you again for the consideration, and we hope that you will entrust us with that, and we will do our very best to honor that. So thank you.
Olivia Mead.
I feel like I should bring the baby back up with me. Olivia Mead, Finance Director at Lily's Place. Again, you know, we've been here for the past few meetings, and we just truly appreciate your consideration. Mr. Boggs has been super helpful. Mr. Hardesty has been very helpful. The last month for us as a team has been a lot of work. They've been helpful to us in just coordinating like what this could look like. I have personally and professionally been very encouraged by our community conversations that we've had and the meetings that we've had here with, you know, speaking with board members and with people with the Board of Education. You know, this is a big undertaking for us. As Jody said, it was not on the bingo card. Certainly for this year, you know, we knew we wanted to do this project, and so I think that it, for us, was certainly a sign that this came to be much bigger than anticipated, but we know that it is for the good of the people that we serve, that we hope to serve, and hopefully for the Highland community. And so we're really grateful for your consideration. Of course, we're open to any questions that you may continue to have. Also, something that wasn't mentioned, but that we're really hopeful for moving forward, if you do choose to grant us the property, we want to be as transparent as possible with the process. And so we want to keep the public involved with updates of how things are going. As you know, we get there, of course, that's steps down the road, but we know that there's been some excitement about this, and we want to be able to share that with the community. So we hope to share as much as we can and be as transparent as possible. So, thanks.
Mark Price.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak briefly. Pastors, I think, get full double time. Not true? We talk twice as much, so I'll try to go quick. Been a lead pastor here in Huntington, in Highland specifically, for the past 7 years. I'm also one of the founding members of the Highland Community Alliance. I've been the president for, I think, about the past 3 years. The Alliance itself is here in our community, nonprofit seeking to do everything that we can do to make Highland better. That is absolutely everything we're about. So people want to live here, thrive here. And I'm representing them, but I'm also representing my neighborhood more than anything. So real quickly, I just would say I've had an ongoing, I personally, in our church, where I'm a pastor at the Huntington First Church of the Nazarene. We've had an ongoing relationship with Lily's Place for about the past 5 or 6 years. Also with the Alliance as well. I've got some personal relationships there. And Jody came and met, who spoke. She came and met with the Alliance. Met with a member first, then met with the full board at our meeting in March. Shared everything about it that you've probably already heard. Also shared with the Highland Community meeting in March as well. And I thought about this, and I think, sometimes there are organizations that come along that they're just there to face a need that society has. And I personally think that's the best kind. I think that's who Lily's Place is. They've filled that void to advocate first for babies that are born with the all too common substance use disorders that their mothers have. However, I would add this, in the time that I've been associated with them and know them, they've continually pressed on into the needs that families have that are dealing with all of those things. So finally, I would say there's a choice here of a granting the property to them or an auction. And I say very simply, with a grant, you've got the opportunities to do exactly what we're doing tonight. With an auction, you get what you get. And we don't know what that'll be. So I just think it's an incredible opportunity for the Highland community to have organizations that stand for what Lily's Place stands for. As many of them as we can get, the better. Thank you.
Jana Stoner.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to share. My name is Jana Stoner, and I'm the Health Program Officer for the Palatine Foundation of Huntington. The Palatine Foundation of Huntington was formed when the Palatine Missionary Sisters opted to sell the hospital to Cabell Huntington Hospital, and the Palatine Sisters started a foundation with those proceeds. When the foundation was set up, it was formed to hit some core priorities, which include substance use disorder, mental behavioral health, tobacco prevention and cessation, and food insecurity. Lily's Place has been a wonderful partner over the past 6 years for us, especially in the substance use disorder space, as well as really wrapping around support for families, and it's been a joy to do so. We also have opportunities for grant funding and are open to continued conversations with Lily's Place about how we can support this project moving forward. I also am a co-founding member of the High Lawn Alliance, and when we started the Alliance, like Pastor Mark has already shared, it was our dream to continue to improve the High Lawn community, to make it a place to live and to be a part of, and I cannot think of a more exciting thing to go into that space, and ask that you will consider that. At the High Lawn meeting this past week, one of the best comments we had was from Robin Harmon, who said, "I would be so excited to see Lily's Place there." And what a better endorsement than that, than the principal of her old school. Thank you.
President Polly, that concludes delegations.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll move on to section 3, board member comments, 3.01. Have any board member comments at this time?
Later on the agenda, we're going to be talking about the survey, asking those people that are involved, students, parents, teachers, service personnel, about a change in school start time for middle and secondary schools. I've always said the secondary schools, just including the middle schools with that. But I recently saw where they were differentiated. Secondary schools was identified as a high school and middle school. We're going to be talking about that survey that's coming out. In anticipation of that, I have brought it up at various board meetings, importance of everyone getting sufficient sleep, but we're in particular talking about middle school and high school students, and they're not getting sufficient sleep before they're going to school. And I've talked briefly, but a few times, about the consequences of that, the health consequences, the learning consequences, the emotional consequences of insufficient sleep. But I have always done it just speaking, and as many of you may know, we learn better. Most people learn better when they see it. They're visual learners. I happen to be one of those. And so I looked today for a quick video that would explain quickly the concepts here. And I would ask if we could, it's 4.5 minute YouTube video, if this would be an appropriate time, or later on when we're talking about the survey, appropriate time, or if there's not an appropriate time during this meeting. Actually, that would be choice C, and I'd really like for you to go with A or B.
I was just asking Ms. Hornbuckle Myers to make sure there's no copyright infringements because we're broadcasting. And I don't know. We're not, but the audio will go out.
It's from YouTube already.
Is that where it's at? Should be fine then.
Is now the time? Mr. Pauly?
If I don't have a problem with it, no.
Okay, good deal. Jason, were you able to get it? Okay.
As humans, we spend roughly a third of our lives asleep. When there is natural light, we wake up, and at night we feel drowsy. This phenomenon is called the body's day and night cycle, or the circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythms control how we sleep and when we wake up. They are managed by the rise and fall of certain chemicals, such as the hormones melatonin and cortisol, and the neurotransmitter adenosine. Melatonin, for example, is sensitive to light, increases with darkness, and helps us to settle into a deep sleep. Cortisol spikes in the middle of the night and causes REM sleep, the phase where we dream, and then wakes us up. Adenosine builds up during the day, gradually reduces our alertness, and eventually makes us feel tired. Over 24 hours, with someone sleeping from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., the changes in melatonin, cortisol, and adenosine typically look like this. Now, while people all have different circadian rhythms, known as different chronotypes, the rhythm itself shifts as we grow up and age. Children are typically born with an early circadian rhythm, but when they enter puberty, their melatonin and cortisol kick in later, and as a result, their bodies react less to light and get sleepy about 2 hours later. They enter into what's known as a delayed sleep phase. And since most schools don't adapt to this change, teenagers end up sleeping less during weekdays and more during weekends, a phenomenon known as social jet lag.
Yeah, they're doing
And this
a
leads to
video.
all
I think
kinds
I
of
got cut
problems.
off.
When teenagers lack rest, their minds have trouble paying attention and absorbing new knowledge, and they often cannot remember what they have learned during the day. This is because sleep is essential for consolidating our experiences into our long-term memory store. Teenagers naturally go through a period of lots of new sensations and often face an identity crisis. Now, people who sleep less naturally also have less REM sleep, the phase where we dream and that helps us regulate emotions. Those who don't get enough of that might get extra sensitive, moody, or fail to understand their own feelings. A lack of rest leads to more stress during the day, which in turn can mean insomnia at night, a vicious cycle that can hit adolescents who are naturally more tense. In the best case, the stress impairs their creativity. At worst, it leads to anxiety or addictions. This may be one reason why research shows that teenage suicide rates go up when a new school year starts. Sleep also regulates the hormones responsible for our appetite, and so when teenagers don't rest enough at night, they tend to eat more during the day. The result can be obesity or eating disorders. The solution could be simple. Adapt social norms to biological facts and allow teenagers to sleep according to their natural circadian rhythm. And some schools have done just that. In the fall of 2015, Seattle Public Schools announced that it would change the school's starting time from 7:50 a.m. to 8:45 to adapt to the circadian rhythm of teenagers. The result? Pupils gained on average over 30 minutes of sleep each night. Later, they displayed higher concentration levels, reported better well-being, and increased motivation to learn. What do you think? Should high schools adapt to the biological rhythm of the pupils who go there? How has your sleep cycle evolved and impacted your life? Tell us your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. If you like this video and want us to make more, subscribe to our channel or support us on Patreon.
Thanks, Jason.
Hello? Hello?
So
We hear you, Miss Neely.
I'm fine, but I keep getting cut off.
those are all the only comments I have this time.
Any other board member comments at this time? Okay.
Mr. Polly,
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't get any of the comments. Was there a video that was shown?
Yes, at Ms. Childers' request, there was a video relating to sleep habits of teenagers.
Okay. Well, when you put the video on, you completely cut me off. So I didn't hear any of the consequences or anything. So I don't think that video should have gone on without me being able to hear the consequences of the sleep habits of these students. This is the second time I have been cut off from this meeting. So I think that video needs to go back on the agenda for the next meeting so that I can see it, okay?
Yes, ma'am, we can take that into consideration. Sorry you were
I
cut
would
off.
appreciate that.
Thank you. Okay, any workshop requests at this time? All right, if none, then we'll move on to the consent agenda. We've had information provided about several of the items on the agenda. So if you just want to look through those, if Any questions, please feel free to,
I had a couple of
Ask.
questions. We're in the 4.0 part, aren't we?
yes.
So, 4.04, I didn't know what that was, that PBIS training.
So that's positive behavior intervention. And so they're using their title fund. There are two on there. One is Cox Landing, which is 4.04. 4.05 is Guy and Dot. I'm sorry, Guy and Dot's using Staff Development Council funds, which is also earmarked for things such as that. They applied for those. So what that is, it's Radford University has courses. They're called micro courses, I believe, and they're online. And I think each course takes about 10 hours to complete. So there are 3 that they are asking for Cox Landing, because they have 10 teachers that would like to go through those courses. Guy and Dot has 1 course they're asking for, but I think they have about 21 teachers or 21 staff members that want to go through that. And so they'll use their staff development fund or their title funds to pay the teachers the stipend to go through the course. But this is a contract with Radford to be able to supply those for them.
Okay, that sounds good. That's that same program that Huntington East Middle School
Yes.
has done, and we've heard good things about that. My next question is 4.08, and that is increasing by $62,000 the funding for virtual school. Is that because of more students are participating in virtual school?
Yes, Mr. Argon, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we already had a contract approved for that because we had more people in the second, the third, and the fourth 9 weeks, and it goes by the cost per student, that there's an increase by the end of the year of $62,000 from the original purchase order.
That's it for me.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns about the consent agenda? And if not, we can go to 4.22, approval of the consent agenda, and I'll just need a motion for approval.
I'll second.
Ms. Smalley has made the motion. Mr. Abess has seconded for approval of the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. And that takes us to our financial section, and we have some information from Mr. Rotkin.
Thank you, Mr. Pauly. Good evening, board members. Good evening, Ms. Neely, online or on the phone.
Thank you, Drew.
I have, my comments this evening are very brief. We do have the treasurer's report for March and the vouchers payable. Also have a relatively small list of budget supplements and a handful of budget transfers as well. Right now, our focus is really working on the upcoming budget. We know the legislative session just ended, so we've been looking through that to see any impacts that may impact next year's budget. But really, our focus right now is gathering all of our information so that way we can present to you in the next couple of weeks a proposed budget for next school year. So that's really the heart of my focus right now in the business office. Do any of you all have any questions for me this evening?
I do not.
Okay, well, thank you all.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rotkin. If there are no questions or concerns, we'll go to 5.05, approval of the financial items.
I'll move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Abess,
Second.
seconded from Ms. Neely. All in favor of approval of the financial items signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? No. That motion passes. Then we'll move to Section 6, the personnel. We only have 6.01, the professional personnel, and 6.02, the service personnel to consider. We have removed 6.03 from the agenda. So unless there are any questions or concerns on the personnel sections there, we'll just need a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Neely's made the motion, Mr. Best has seconded. All in favor of approval of personnel items 6.01 and 6.02 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. All right, that takes us to our special board items section, section 7. And I would just say we would probably want to do these in 3 separate items. Address 7.01, 7.02 by itself, and then 7.03 through 7.07. We can do those 3 together if that suits everyone. Good. So we'll begin with the disposition of the real property, the former Highline Elementary School to Lily's Place. And the board consideration and possible action to declare that Highline Elementary School property located at 2549 First Avenue in Huntington is no longer needed for school purposes, and authorize the board president to convey the school property by deed to Lily's Place pursuant to West Virginia Code Section 1857B. So, I don't know if there's any questions, concerns, discussion, or we can just make a motion to,
I would like to enthusiastically make a motion that we donate this property to Lily's Place for the betterment of Huntington.
I enthusiastically third.
yeah. Okay. Well, we have a motion, and we have a second and a third, and I think lots of hope and excitement for what might become of the old Highline building when Lily's Place takes over. So, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. All right. All right. So,
If you don't mind, just don't run off. We'll need to speak briefly after the meeting.
okay. So, it is good to have that taken care of, and I think I easily speak for everyone that we're happy to get that taken care of and get that process moving along so that you can do good things in that community. So, all right, we'll go to 7.02, the potential start time survey. We've had a request from Ms. Neely. She wasn't able to have the access to the video to consider this at a later time. I don't know how everyone feels, or if we want to try to tackle this issue right now. So I'll just start the discussion with that.
Are we just voting on allowing a survey to happen?
Not exactly. I think my intent here was to, and Ms. Childers and I have talked about this. We took a shot at creating a questionnaire, if you will. We weren't sure internally whether the board wanted it to go out to everyone, whether the board as a whole wants it to go out, whether the board wants it to have a 45-minute delay. I did take note in that one that said Seattle went from 7:50 to 8:45. We weren't sure about the length of the delay or who we wanted to survey first. And so we took a shot at creating something that we could start as a template from to get your all's input of what, if you choose to send something out, who do you want it to go to and what do you want it to ask? So that's what you have in front of you for consideration.
You're saying that you're sending out a survey?
No, the survey that's on the agenda, Ms. Neely, was just a draft to see if the board wants to reword it anyway, how light of a delay that they want to survey the community for, and who they would want to survey. And so this is nothing more than just a starting discussion of what the board would like to have me do.
Well, do we have, on the survey, do we have the times and the dates? What time is the start date for school going to be changed, and how's that going to affect the teachers, the aides, the bus drivers? Do we have that information?
We do not, because I'm not sure what the delay would entail. I know it's secondary. We weren't even sure if it was middle and high school or just high school at the time. But I think, to answer your question, we do not have any of that. That's what the survey would be for, is to try to gather some of those concerns or some of those positive responses.
Well, if that's what you're going to do, then that's fine. I'm okay if you do the survey and it comes back and the board sees what the teachers and the aides and the bus drivers, what they feel about the change and how it's going to affect the school system. Because I know that a lot of these people that work these bus driver jobs, they have jobs after that. They have secondary jobs. And you know, I'd like to see what the people that work for the Cabell County Board of Education think about this change.
Okay, thank you
But
for.
that's fine. Go ahead with the survey. I'm very anxious to see what that survey shows.
Thank you, Ms. Neely. I have some issues, some concerns. I'll say I have some concerns with sending out a survey at all, actually, and those concerns lie with. It's a risky thing to send out a survey on something that you may or may not be able to actually accomplish. And one of the reasons I say that is because I think that when you look at changing the start time, if we were to look at that, there is most definitely going to be a cost involved. There's going to be a financial outlay to be able to accomplish making this change. I don't think now is a good time to add something that is going to increase the need for spending. As you know, we talked about the other day with the request from the LSIC, try to keep those as tight as possible, and with the knowledge that finances are going to be probably continue to get a little tighter with the way that things are going right now. So I have a financial concern. The other concern I have is, you know, it's almost like if you send out something like this, then you have two sides. Probably one side who may want it and agree with it. One side says, no, absolutely not. That creates some tension and some division. And, you know, in the environment that we're in, people like to take sides, and it's like, it just causes a lot of consternation. Yeah, dig in.
Well, you're opening up, Mr. Pauly, you're opening up a can of worms with this.
I'm sorry, Ms. Neely, could you expand on that?
We're opening up a can of worms with this change.
Well, I
Oh,
think,
the change.
yeah, not you. It actually would be me.
Yeah.
She's just saying you in
Okay.
general.
The-
And, were you finished?
Not quite, but
I'm saying if the board goes along with it, I think just what Mr. Pauly said. You're going to have half and half. You're going to have some people that want it and some people that don't, and that's opening up a can of worms. I don't think you're going to get everybody that's going to agree with the change. That's all.
Well,
I mean, I've been there for 17 years, and we've never changed the time of the school since I've been there. And I just think this is the start of opening up a can of worms, and that's all it's going to do. I don't think anything is going to be accomplished. And that's just me.
thank you, Ms. Neely. Additionally, I would just note, you know, we just had our LSIC meetings, the one at Huntington, one at Cabell Midland. There were no LSIC requests that had to deal with start times or anything of that nature. I don't think the schools themselves have brought that out. So we haven't heard from them that this is something that they would like. I think if we had heard from them, it would give it maybe some more credence. Now, do I agree that kids don't get enough sleep? I absolutely agree. I think it even goes further than what the video showed. I think it even goes down to our elementary schools. As spending 9 years teaching elementary schools and elementary students, I think a significant amount of the behavioral problems that we dealt with in our schools probably related to kids not getting enough sleep deprivation for even the younger students. And so I do think there is an issue. I think there's a problem. I'm not sure that us moving the start time, and I don't think we can move it significantly enough to address what the video showed. Teenagers would love to sleep till 10 or 11. I know mine does on the weekends. But I think we can't move it enough to address that. And we only play a small role in school start time, only plays a small role in whether a student gets enough sleep or not. There's so many other factors that are beyond our control. Home life, parenting styles, extracurriculars, workloads, all sorts of things that are beyond our control. I just don't know that I like to look at what's the ROI, what are we going to get for the investment. And while I agree that there's research that says that there's some benefits to it, I don't know that the benefits outweigh the cost, the downstream cost, or the additional impacts that are going to have to be considered. If we move the start time, then we automatically have to move the end time, which pushes everything after school back farther. So is that going to push things back farther so that the kids are going to have to stay up longer to get everything accomplished that they get accomplished now? I also feel like, if I told my kids school starting an hour later, I'm going to have probably a fight on my hands to stay up an hour later. And so we can't control that. I mean, I can in my house, but we as a board can't control, all the houses. And so I think there's just so many moving parts and so many factors that lie beyond our control that I just don't know that we can make enough of an impact by moving a start time. And that's just where I'm at. So I'll just say that.
I am very impressed with all of your points. I really, truly am, because I think you've thought it through, and I think they're excellent points. One I would challenge, though, the financial impact. Give me an example of a financial impact.
So right now, I believe the way we have staggered start times. And so, somebody else might be able to help me out better. I don't know. I think the staggered start times allow us to have employ fewer drivers and have fewer bus runs. And so if we were to move back the high schools, then I think there's going to be some, maybe not a 2-for-1, but maybe we might have to have 1.5 for every run we have right now. We might have to have 1.5, because if a driver right now can make a run for high school and then come back and get elementary, and with a time change, then they can't make that second run. So we have to have another bus, another driver to make that run. I think that's the logistics. In my mind, that was the logistics that would create additional costs. Another thing, I think that in some of the research I saw talked about the low socioeconomic families would face the greatest impact possibly, and it talked about the need for the school system to offset those impacts with
Morning daycare.
morning care or aftercare or, those sorts of things. So it's like they understand that there's going to be an impact, and it will just be expected that, like, the school system could take on that responsibility, which I think is another financial responsibility. Those are the two that come to my head.
So that was brought to my attention, that it would impact low-income families, like all lower-income families have parents that have an early morning job. I thought, well, how is that reasoning out there? Don't some of them go to work at noon and some of them go to work at 4 o'clock in the afternoon? I didn't understand that reasoning.
I think some of the reasoning, and if I'm remembering correctly, is less flexibility. They may have jobs that provide less flexibility on.
Pick up. I have to go get my kid.
Like
Yeah.
I've got to clock in at,
Yeah.
7:30. I've got to clock in at whatever time, and there's no leeway. With some middle to upper income jobs, maybe there's more flexibility. I'm not sure, but that's my guess.
Okay, you did point out several things, and several of which I probably hadn't thought about at all, but one came to mind, and you said this is a time of taking sides, and it could create division, and yeah, I appreciate that. But there is the idea that you never are going to please everybody. It's not going to happen. You're passing out $100 bills and somebody's going to be PO'd about it. But when I have brought it up, whether I'm in a school and I'm asking teachers, or I'm at Crossroads and I'm mentioning it to students, or I put it on Facebook, I did a time or two earlier, and parents are commenting, by and large, they want to do it. Now, I have had some negative responses, and it's very often, but we'd have to stay at school later. That's the students, came up with that. I have this response, and I think I'll be finished. No, I have two responses. One is, the most important thing here is that children are getting insufficient sleep. And yes, there are a lot of factors we can't control, and they have nothing to do with circadian rhythm. They are getting insufficient sleep, and that is affecting brain development. That is far more important than a bus driver's second job. Now, I know we need to have bus drivers pick up our kids, but we need to provide a schedule to the very best of our ability that is considering the brain development of our students. And if we're just writing that off, I think we're misdirected. And I was so emphatic about that I forgot the second thing I was going to mention.
We'll give you
So, okay, it's not coming back to me.
Keep thinking. Maybe they'll come back. Any other comments, concerns, questions?
I came up with it.
Here we go.
Okay. We are creatures of habit. We think things should always be the same as they've always been. And we can be so resistant to change. And I think that's a big part of this. Yes, those bus drivers have second jobs. Well, guess what? Those second jobs can start a little later and a little sooner or something. I think that's the big thing here. We don't want change. Okay, finished now.
Change is definitely difficult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Any other board member comments at this time?
I I'm going to hold my comments until I can get there and I can look at that video.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm going to hold the rest of my comments on what Linda has said to the next meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Neely. The other thing I hadn't talked about is one of the things that kind of struck me as I looked through the research was a lot of it was potential. There was the potential. A lot of it was it can, and I guess maybe that's where, when I'm talking about all the factors that we don't control, maybe because there are so many factors that, the research suggests that there's the potential for these increased outcomes, positive outcomes for students. But I don't know, it seems to me like maybe there's more correlation than causation. And I'm not saying that there won't be causation. I think one of the other concerns I had was I don't know how much research that's been done has been able to reach the point of causation instead of correlation, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I feel like the research is definitely trending that there's the possibility of those improved outcomes. I would like it to go further, I guess. I would like the research to maybe it's going to just take more time.
Well, we could do a little research study here.
Yeah,
we're
we'd be
here.
part of the reason.
We're here.
I would like there to be more research before I feel like I would be comfortable taking this step, is I guess my point. I know one of the studies that I read said that there was an improved grade point average that improved by 0.1. And I'm like, well, that is an improvement, but there just didn't seem like to be enough significant, and it didn't weigh the other issues. Like it didn't weigh the negative impacts that could come. And it was all the research seemed to be focused toward just showing the positive impacts, but on student health and wellness, but it didn't weigh the other possibilities, the drawbacks, the repercussions of making the change. So I guess I was a little concerned about them not comparing or not doing a cost and benefit analysis, I guess.
Mr. Polly, we'll work to get that video to Ms. Neely within the next day or so. If we can't get there this evening, we'll get it to her, so it won't have to be delayed until the next meeting. We'll go ahead and make sure she gets a copy of that,
Okay.
or at least access to
Thank
it.
you, Mr. Hardesty.
You're welcome.
Well, 7.02 says board consideration and possible action to determine the survey to be used for stakeholders surrounding start and ending times. So if we, the way I read that, if we want to take action, we can, or we don't. I don't know. I think in order to fulfill 7.02, seems to me like we would have to have a motion, a second, and a vote to proceed with sending out a possible survey for stakeholders.
I have a comment.
Is your mic on?
Yes.
Okay.
I know we don't want to put this off to another meeting, but would it be proper to table this until Mrs. Neely can watch the video? And I'm just asking.
I mean, that is an option. Yeah, we can do that if that's the board's desire.
Well, I'm just asking. I didn't know if that was.
Yeah, it'll be the same process. We would need a motion, a second, to table, and so.
I personally
as an individual on the board. I do want to state that all the research you did, I've done some as well. I tend to agree with all the points you're making, and I certainly agree with the scientific facts. You know, we can't deny that. We can't deny that an extra hour of sleep would be beneficial to those kids. But we can't legislate how families are run. We can't legislate what parents allow their students to do when they're in their homes. I'm not sure that passing this and going through all this process to allow another hour, as you mentioned, we're going to have to add an hour at the end. And that's going to play into after-school activities, ROTC, all those types of things that students participate in. And think about athletics, how many students in high school are involved in one or more sports. We're in a conference that dictates that our kids have to travel sometimes on school nights to Parkersburg or Beckley. And if we extend our school day an hour, that may dictate that those games away would have to be scheduled later. They'd have to fit our schedule, you know what I'm saying? Our ability to get there on time. I know sports is not a huge part of this huge ball of wax here, but it needs to be considered because a lot of students participate. Same thing with ROTC and the music and any extracurricular activities at all. I also think it's not kind or professional of us to dismiss our folks that have second jobs. I think we certainly need to give them every consideration as well. And I don't think they can go in and dictate what their work hours are on their second job. I don't know that for sure, but I would think many of them wouldn't be in a position where they could go and say, hey, I can't report at 5 o'clock anymore. I can only come at 6. That's putting some more complications on some folks. And in this day and age, with the economy being what it is, I think we should be considerate of our employees and think about, you know, their viewpoint. I'm thinking too about the scattered starting times. And I know that Barboursville Middle School has traditionally started later and ended later. Am I not right on that? I think they are the latest ending school.
I believe they are, and I think they actually start receiving kids one of the earliest schedules in the morning as well.
Yes,
because
so
of
they
the
have the
buses.
longest day at Barboursville Middle. And is that not because they're a bus hub? Is that right, David? Yeah. Okay, so those types of things will have to be taken into consideration. It's not just, do you want another hour and do you want to stay another hour? And again, I do not dispute the facts. Linda is absolutely right. The facts are there scientifically, but we're talking about human beings who have different approaches and different philosophies of life and different ideas about child rearing. And I just don't feel that we can legislate what is happening within those homes. If we open the door, that's a good thing, but how many people will really take advantage of that? Will they say, now you still have to go to sleep at the same time? That's the way you're going to get an extra hour's sleep. How many people will indeed take advantage of that? So if you think a survey, I would think a survey should be within our school community, with our employees, our service personnel, our teachers, and students. I think it should be limited to them because I don't think we can get the complete information out there. It's very difficult, as you know, to get things out in the community, and I just don't know. I just have my but I'm not opposed to, if you guys feel like this survey may help us, if we think this is going to guide us in the route we need to take, then so be it. You know, I'll vote for it if you think that will help us come up with a better solution. I don't mean to be negative. I just mean to look at it from varying viewpoints.
I appreciate your pointing out that I was being flippant with our personnel that have a second job.
well, I
You're
just-
right, I was being very casual about
Well, I
that.
appreciate that. I
Appropriately.
appreciate that very much. That's all.
Additionally, I mean, we do have a bit of a time even getting enough bus drivers as it is. And then one other thing that came to my mind when you were speaking, Ms. Smalley, in one of the studies, and I can't remember particularly which one, but I think they changed their start time by an hour, and the students gained 34 minutes of sleep. So it's not, I guess it's not a one-to-one. It's like, even in the study, it wasn't a one-to-one. That was a study of, I want to say that was a study of 18,000 students, but don't quote me on that. But, so it's not a one-to-one. I guess if you make an hour adjustment, it's not like it's going to lead to an hour of sleep, even if they still get to bed at a decent time. I don't know.
Okay, so now we are are we going to send this survey out?
Yeah.
Now, are we going to vote on it now, or are we going to table it? That's where we are.
That is where we are. And it would need to start with a motion for either.
Okay, I
however-
move that we table it until after Mary has seen the video and we've all had an opportunity to think
I
about it.
have been sent the video. Mr. Jackson has sent me the video. I can't watch it right now, but I think put it on the next agenda.
Okay, we have.
Because I'm very concerned about this. I really am. For all the reasons that Mrs. Smalley said and Mr. Pauly said, I'm concerned about controlling. You can't control what happens in a person's house. You put the hour, later. Those kids aren't, not all the families are going to make sure those kids go to bed at the same time. And so I'm not going to vote on any of this right now until you postpone this till the next meeting, if that's your desire.
Okay, well, Ms. Neely, we do have a motion to table this until a future meeting, the next meeting. Do we have a second to
I'll
table?
second it.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded. So all in favor of tabling 7.02, potential start time survey, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. All right, this motion carries. We'll go on to 7.03, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Those are all student expulsions. And if there's any questions or concerns, then we can have a motion for executive session. Or if there are none, we can have a motion for approval of the student expulsions.
I move we approve the student expulsions.
I'll second.
Okay, Ms. Neely's made the motion. Mr. Best has seconded. All in favor of approval of student expulsions 7.03 through 7.07, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that takes us to 8. Any update on current legal issues? We have none, so we can move on to adjournment. We just need a motion for adjournment.
I move that we adjourn.
Okay, motion's been made.
I'll second.
Mr. Best has seconded. All in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? No, we are adjourned at 6:16.